Satisfy your soul and not society. Welcome to the Hard Questions podcast.
where we have the uncomfortable conversations.
And ask you the hard questions. Welcome to the show, everybody. The Hard Questions podcast. The hostess with the most. My name is Jeremiah. Down to my left is Ed. Down to my right is Irene. We got another banger episode coming to y'all today, man. Got a great question coming out of San Antonio, Texas from Linda. I'm going to have Irene read it off, and we're going to get into it, man. Welcome.
Go. All right,
Let's-
Linda from San Antonio, Texas. Question is tonight: is it okay for a woman to approach a man? I'm gonna let y'all start it.
That's unconventional. Ed, what you think?
I mean, let's not try to talk for every man in this world, but let's be honest here. If you're say you're at the supermarket or you're at like Wally World or even the bar or something like that, and you're a man, you're just chilling, doing your single thing, whatever, you're hanging out, and all of a sudden a woman comes up, and instead of you seeing this beautiful woman and going over and talking to her, she walks up to you or she comes and sits next to you and says, "Hey, do you mind if I go off and do you mind if we talk for a minute?" And she starts a conversation with you and she starts flirting with you. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna be more comfortable with this woman than the woman that I asked myself and approached myself. Not only that, but I'm gonna be more confident in this situation, and I'm gonna be like, "Hey, all right, all right."
I'm going to think some shit going on. I'm going to be like, is this a setup? You asked for it? What's going on? Is Ashton
But why-
Kutcher
okay,
around
so-
here? Am I being punked,
I mean,
nigga?
there's that
Oh.
slight 10% chance because it never happens with men, so there is that possibility too.
Right.
Okay, so but why? Okay, so let me start with Ed. So why do you? So you're gonna take her a little bit more serious because she took the initiative to approach you, and you didn't have to
Correct.
take that extra mile to do that.
Yeah.
And why? And how would that make you feel? Like, how would you? How would you feel? Would you be like weird about it? Like, do you think that that's okay? Do you think that we should do that more often?
I honestly, truly think that it should be more normalized, in my opinion. And the reason why I say that also is because even on a normal basis, if I approach a woman, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I don't go up to a woman and say, "Hey, can I get your number?" I say, "Hey, do you mind if I give you my number?" And they look at me and they're just like, "Wait a minute."
I
And
like
so
that.
I give them my number and say, "Now go ahead and either call or text me." That way we both know that it's the real number. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
people are, of course, people can go off and give you, write it down on a piece of paper and give you their number. You leave, go to hit them up the next day, and you're just like, boop, boop, boop. You know,
I
you
agree.
know what
I
I mean?
agree. I agree.
So right there,
Okay.
you know that she's real, and she hadn't lied to you, so she really, and then two, she's interested in you, and she wants to be able to, she wants to have fun. You know, I mean, that's my
And then
person.
Jay, you think that it's a setup. You think you
I
being catfish. You think you being punked.
I just said because you
I'm
gotta
Ashton
think,
Kutcher.
okay, you gotta you gotta think like, okay, it's 2024. You know what I'm saying? With social media and with, you know what I'm saying, the constant things that we see on there with, you know, the soft girl era and things like that. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of being promoted or kind of becoming the norm for women to not do that. You know what I'm saying? Especially
Gotcha.
because of all the options that they feel like they have because of social media and the options that social media can kind of trick you into believing that you have, but
Mhm.
you know, in all actuality, you may not have every single one of those options. You know what I'm saying? So
That makes sense.
because we're all kind of caught up in that, because I don't want to say women exclusively, but because we're all kind of caught up in that kind of like
Mindset.
facade
Yeah,
of like
mindset at this point. Yeah.
yeah, into like that illusion of thinking that we have all of these options, women especially, in that sense of, you know, and just saying that in the sense of the topic of conversation.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a little bit easier for them to go ahead and not do that, or not, you know, make that a part of like something that they think is like acceptable for them to do. And because of that, I'm automatically thinking, okay, if you're this forthcoming and comfortable with putting yourself out there
You
like this to
crazy.
me, You know what I'm saying? What is it? Like, what is it? Because don't get me wrong, I'm not ugly. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's foreign to me to believe that an attractive woman would be talking to me,
Speak for
but it's like,
yourself. Just kidding.
it's, you know what I'm saying? But
I
at the
feel
same
you.
time, it's almost like, why are you so forthcoming with this when we live in the world like we live in today? You know what I'm saying?
Today.
If it was the
Agreed.
60s or 70s, it'd be different. But because it's
Agreed.
2024, why are you approaching me? You know?
Agreed.
Yes,
Yeah.
I
So
I
my
understand that
perspective
too.
of it, being a woman, I wouldn't say that I never have done that. I definitely have, but I think I approached it in a different type of form. More so like, hey, how's your night going? What are you drinking? Like small talk, right? And I think that we should make it more norm because at the end of the day, if we move aside genders, right, and we actually see a person for being a human and only a human, I think
Yes.
that it doesn't matter which side comes and starts the conversation. It's more so if the conversation is an ongoing conversation, if this is a
Mhm.
connection, whoever initiated it or not. I think that, yes, society definitely, social media definitely makes it like seem like you're a simp in a sense if you're a woman and you were to approach a man like kind of like a desperate type of thing. I guess it's all about how you're approaching them and what's your
They call them pick
perception of.
me's. You're a pick
Yeah,
me if you
like
do
yeah,
that.
exactly. And I don't think that we should see it like that because like I said, at the end of the day, if we remove genders and just see person for person, it doesn't matter who starts it. So I don't have a problem with it. I think it's dope. But the second question that comes with that in my mind is if we're okay with women, if we're trying to make it a norm in a sense for women to approach men, um, then would it be okay for a woman to ask a man's hand in marriage?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Tell me your thoughts. Give me more. Give me
Okay,
more.
okay, Ed, you can go first. Yeah.
I mean,
He said, let me put this water down.
I mean, well, a man's got to hydrate himself. I'm just
I
saying.
feel you. It's hot.
H2O. I mean, it it shouldn't be different in any way, shape, or form because I mean, yes, tradition says that the man asks the woman for her hand in marriage and everything like that, and goes and asks her dad and so on and so forth. But I mean, again, like you said too, is we're in 2024 now. So that definitely, in my opinion, definitely is way different than anything anymore. And these days is, I mean, I know of and have seen more as time goes by, women actually asking for a man's hand in marriage. So I think it's socially acceptable. And I think, to be honest with you, I think it would be something really cool to be able to say, hey, look, not only did I get married to this woman and I said I would never get married, but she proposed to me and asked me to marry her.
Okay, okay. Jay, it's a
Um.
setup.
So from right, where the cameras? God damn it. Um.
Sorry, y'all.
But
I almost spit out my drink.
um.
You're
But
wild.
no, I just when it comes to that subject, I feel like there's still while we can push some social norms in society today, I feel like some things are the way they are for a reason. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? I feel like asking for one's hand in marriage comes from the man's role because the man has always kind of been seen as like the breadwinner. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like the
Yep.
the earner. You know what I'm saying?
Protect,
And being
provide, and lead.
Right.
Hmm.
and
Last
being the owner, being the earner, not owner. I'm sorry, being the earner. Um, you have to think about things like, okay, weddings don't just happen unless you sneak off and do it in a courthouse or a chapel or something like
Vegas.
that. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Or something like that. But I feel like uh if a dude in a green suit in the middle of Vegas marries you, I don't feel like it's much solidity in your marriage. So you
Makes
probably
sense.
don't want to go the Vegas route. But I feel like saying all that to say that as the earner, as a man, you have to think about things like, okay, if she asks me to marry her, is she gonna buy the ring? Is she
Mm.
gonna pay for the wedding?
Mm.
Is she gonna invite? You know what I'm saying? It's all it's
Mm.
things that you have to
Is
think
it
about.
just
That's
gonna
like, okay,
just you're saying, are we just talking words, or is it gonna be the whole shebangity bang, or is she gonna say the words, but then she's gonna be like, okay, what ring are you buying me?
exactly, and that's what I'm saying is that
Gotcha.
that's why as the man we take that. It's because I asked you to marry me, so now I pay for this. I find the ring. I do all of that. That's how it's always been.
You're
And
prepared. You're prepared.
yeah,
I
that's what I'm saying. As opposed to, you asked me to marry you. Now, technically, does that mean you buy the ring? Like, no, it's never been like that. And you can't say, well, I'm gonna ask you to marry me, but you buy the ring. Like, no, then
but we
then
both
we're
buy
still.
rings, you know what I mean? Or we buy rings for each one of us, kind of thing. Nah.
I mean, and
Uh-uh.
that's what I'm saying. Now that's when you kind of you building a whole new ball game. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to now you're not just pushing a societal norm. You're kind of creating something new entirely. And
Yeah.
Ex-
that's when I feel like you're kind of going outside of when you could have just it's either
Stay in your lane,
traditionally or
kind of.
not. There's no, yeah, like it's either traditional or it's untraditional, but there is no new thing. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like you kind of
No,
do
I
it one
agree.
way, it's two
I
ways.
definitely
Yeah.
agree with you. I think you
yeah.
saying like there's certain things that just need to stay traditional. I think that is one thing that I believe as well should be traditional. I mean, as a little girl, I could speak for probably many women, we when we were little, we dream about getting married, having kids. Like that's just something that's kind of built in us, of most of us at least, shall I say? And to change it up and be like, oh, like now I'm gonna ask him to marry me. Like I don't think a little boy thinks of that when they're younger. Like a woman proposing to him. But
Right.
I prefer a man to propose to me. I think that's one of the moments, just like giving birth, that you kind of see in your head and you live in your head and you want to see it unfold in front of you. So yeah, I would definitely say I wouldn't do that.
That's
If
what I'm
anybody
saying.
out there, it's just nothing that I
Like
would.
she gonna go out and buy the ring and be like, I think he'll really like it. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna be
Yeah,
looking at her like, girl, what? Like
but not knocking
everybody
you,
in Jared
sis.
is gonna be
But
looking
Right.
at her like,
but
what?
not knocking you, sis. I mean, if you want to go and, and do you
Look,
want
the
to marry
commercial
Joe?
goes like this. The commercial go like this. He went to Jared. Okay? Not she. He went to Jared. Okay? If it was supposed
You
to
know
be the
what I'm
other way, they
saying?
would have made another
Remember
version.
though,
That's what I'm
remember
saying.
something. Every kiss begins with K.
That's true.
But don't
That's so
nobody go to
true.
K no more. Don't everybody going to Jared now, bro.
Yeah, that
Nobody
is
go to
true.
K no more.
That is true.
Oh,
Okay. So with that being said, so we have identified there's some areas of opportunity in the sense of like, it's okay to make things so like back to normal or traditional, and there's some things that you can't flip up. So in that same token, how do you feel like if you're in a relationship, right? You're dating a chick. This is not a conversation that a lot of people have. People don't have these hard questions in a relationship, and we ask that they do, right? But
right.
let's say you're in a relationship, you go to dinner thinking it's a normal dinner, homegirl on the damn knee,
And then
homegirl
that
on
was
the
another
damn
thing I
knee.
was gonna bring up. What, she gonna get down on her knee?
Yeah.
Like what? Come on now, you got a skirt on, babe. I know you scraping your shit. I know it's rocks and gravel and all stuff on your knee. I
But
know
what
you
you
hurting.
doing? Homegirl on her knee at Ruth Chris.
I'm gonna be like, get up. What are you doing?
Me
Would you
personally,
really?
I,
Yes, like
I would be like, what? I wouldn't tell her to get up. I'd be like, what? Hold on. I would think if she was getting on her knees, she's scooting over to the booth. If we're sitting at a booth, she might be getting on her knee to be able to scoot under the. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh
I,
God. You're like, not here, babe. Not here. Not here, babe. Not here.
what kind of restaurant we are, you know what I mean? Because no,
You're
real
wild.
stuff.
You're wild. That's wild behavior.
And she was looking fire, and you know what I mean. And she just looked at me, and she came over and got on one knee, and she had a ring and everything like that. I can't really say that if it was somebody that I loved and I wanted to marry and we had talked about it and she just decided to do it and I hadn't got a ring for her yet or anything like that, I would be perfectly fine with it. I would absolutely say yes if that was the situation. Now that's also coming from a man who has literally said, I don't ever plan, nor do I think that I ever want to even get married. So
Okay.
You
That's
know
a
what I
big
mean?
thing. Yeah, it's a big thing. What
Mhm.
about you, Jay? She on her knee.
Um, like I said, you know what I'm saying. I just it's like this, okay. If I say no,
The
based
relationship's done.
upon the strength of no, I mean, if I say no based upon the strength of how you did it, then you know what I'm saying.
Mm,
Now I rejected you. You know what I'm saying.
mm,
I reject. You were proposed
mm.
to me, and I rejected you. But if I say yes, then it's like I'm conflicted within myself because I feel like I should have been the one to do that. You know what I'm saying? So I feel
Mm.
like that when you know at the base root of it is going to come down to the type of person you are and the kind of
Yeah,
things that you find acceptable. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Um what you can find socially acceptable or overlook being not socially acceptable.
agreed.
Um
So
but
what you saying?
me personally, I mean, if I want to marry you, I'm gonna say yes. I mean, I feel like I'm gonna ask. I'm like, is there a way we can like kind of hit redo? You know what I'm saying?
And
Like,
let
can
me
I?
and you can always do your part, you know. She
Yeah,
does it, and
like
then
let
you
me.
redo it.
Yeah, like I would and see. I'm the kind of person to where I would be like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I would say yes, and I'd be like, let's go somewhere to like celebrate. You know what I mean? Like, let's
Yeah,
go out and like let's do it and get it to where like we're out and she thinking that like we just celebrating because I proposed to him and then out doing that I would propose to her. You know what I'm saying?
I
Like
got you.
and be like, let me do this right. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
and then we would go on, but that's just me. You know what I mean? Like I
yeah,
said, it's probably other people who would take it from when she did it and run with it. But I just
yeah,
feel like I said, if I ask you to marry me, then the things that are in place that I'm supposed to take care of, I can go ahead and do that, and things can be the way that they're supposed to be, as opposed to now we got to figure out a bunch of well, because you did this, is this your, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
and I know like it's also you could go ahead and just say, well, you proposed to me, but I'm about all the shit, you know what I'm saying? But then at that point, why did she propose to you? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so
And you
I
know
feel like
what?
it kind of just go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off, but you know
No,
what?
you
Now
good.
that I really think about it, there's this show that's on Netflix. It's called The Ultimatum, and it's usually it's a woman wanting to get married, and the man's just not ready to be married. So sometimes I think like that's a big thing, right? I think that as an independent woman, I think it is independent woman that somewhat likes to have control. I think that sometimes we want marriage so bad that we take it in our hands to try to get it so fast.
Yeah.
And I think that, as for myself, at least I can speak, is that sometimes slower things are worth the ride, right? And I just think that if a woman were to ask a man to marry her, I think it's more so like she's trying to speed up the process. And
Right, right, right,
yeah,
right.
from my studies that I've studied with men and tons of men that I've spoken to, there's a lot of factors that come with marriage. You know, as a woman before, I would think that it's me. You don't want to marry me. It's me. But
Hmm.
realistically, you guys are more of a realistic mindset. So you guys think about the finances. Okay, we get married. Who's gonna pay? Like Jay said, who's gonna pay for the wedding? Who's gonna pay for the
Right.
dress, all the accessories,
No,
all that? Okay,
think about it. The groom, no matter what, when you do get married, when you go to get married, it's usually the groom that either was paid for it, but at the same time is in tradition, it says that the bride's dad is the one that pays for it.
exactly. So like, and then on top of that, it's like, like financials make it means a big thing to men. I've learned that. And I learned that stability too. You guys rather be stable than to be up in the air just trying to meet the needs for your woman and then not be 100% all in. And that's why, sometimes it doesn't really work out. So I think, yeah, I
Right.
think that if a woman, gets down on her knees for the most part, it's because she's trying to rush the process. Um, and but mama, if you want to do it, you want to do it, but I would love for a man to just ask me rather than me ask him. Just keep it so I can
Right.
know for sure you want me, boy. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously
I
women are
was about to
emotional
say.
creatures. We're gonna show you guys technically. We care about you. Sometimes men are just iffy.
And that was another
One day y'all
reason.
want us, one day y'all don't.
That was another point. That was another reason and why I said what I said about things staying. That's about some things staying the traditional way. Is that point that Irene made? I feel like, a part of the reason why it's again like a part of the man's role is because a lot of instances that we see, women kind of pushing for that is because, like she said, it's because they're trying to rush something or because they have been hinting at it and stuff like that. And he's kind of not budging, you know what I'm saying, or not giving her the idea that, marriage is something that he's considering or that he's considering the fact that she wants to be married. So I feel like any kind of instance like that would kind of more so be her trying to rush that process instead of like it actually being a thing of like, oh, I want this so bad, I'm gonna just go ahead and do it
And do
because
it.
we've never seen that. Like you've never like that has, some things change and others stay the same. So we've seen so many things change in this world. I mean, everything from laws, presidents, everything. But
Everything.
one thing you've never seen change is the proposal process, the marital process of
Yeah.
a man proposing
Yeah,
to a woman. You
I
know what
would
I'm
have
saying?
to.
So
Yeah, I'd have to
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
that's one of the
Yeah. I
things that
agree.
has never changed. So you know what I'm saying?
But now with
You
that
know,
same token, guys, and you know how I talked about the speeding process, I know this is not the exact question that Linda had, but it leads me to think, is there a time frame to know when, hey, I've been with you for 6 7 years and you haven't made any move in wanting to proceed with marriage? Like, is there a way out? Is there a time frame that women would be like, it's time for me to go? I told you, per Steve Harvey, he says, let the man know what you want. And
Steve
he
Harvey is
needs
not
to,
a person that we. I'm that name holds no weight here. I just want you to know
you know what I mean?
I mean, Steve Harvey holds a lot of weight with me, but at the same point in time, I mean,
he holds no
You,
weight here.
so if somebody's with a person for 6 7 years, 2 kids, and he has not yet married her, does he want her? Does he want
yes,
marriage?
he can still want her because here's the thing: he is already he's already had 2 children with this woman, and he's still with her. So yes, he wants her, but the thing is that a lot of men, specifically like myself, okay, I believe that a piece of paper should not define what's
Mm,
in my heart. Okay,
mm.
I can feel married and I can do everything that a married man can do with the woman of my dreams and the person that I am loved to. And I don't have to have the state or the country, our country, tell me on a piece of paper that me and her are married. Because technically, too, if you really think about it, depending on what
Common
state,
law.
mark me wrong, exactly,
Mhm.
common law between 5 to like 7 or 8 years max in any state in the state of in the US, you will literally I mean, by automatically by the government, they say that you're married at that point in time because you're still
But
in the
what
same.
if it
And I'm gonna
means?
look at.
Go ahead.
I said I'm a kind of branch out and touch at it from a more realistic or from a real. I don't want to say more realistic, but from a realistic standpoint of like just how things are in today's society. Let's look at number one, the process even alone of marriage and getting everything done is expensive. Marriage is
Oh,
expensive.
true.
Not
Like,
only is
And
marriage
that's
expensive,
sad.
but with marriage comes,
getting them
yeah,
unattached is more expensive.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. But I mean, let's just stick with the process of getting into it. As far as now, marriage is expensive.
Yeah,
A wedding is expensive.
very.
Um, a dress is expensive. A ring is expensive.
Yep.
Um, uh, you know what I'm saying? Home ownership, the purchasing of a home in today's society in 2024 is expensive.
Kids.
It's very hard to settle down these days securely. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because of that, people are almost looking at it as, well, why do that? They almost adopt Ed's mindset. Not saying that this is why Ed has his mindset, but they almost adopt Ed's mindset based upon the fact alone of, well, we can't afford all of this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so because of that, yeah, we locked in, but like, we almost looking at the green suit dude in Vegas, baby, if we want to do this, because like
Yeah.
it's not something we can afford. You know what I'm saying? That's the case for some people, not all. But in today's society of the common American, or like say below the middle class, like you know what I'm saying, that's what it's looking like.
Yeah.
And even
And
in middle class, it's still expensive.
for
Still
sure.
very
And I
expensive.
think from my point of view, and I keep saying for a woman's point of view, but at least I can speak for myself. Y'all know I'm a woman, but I think y'all know.
You are. You
Just kidding.
Maybe.
It is. I definitely understand. You guys are pointing some amazing things, and I think the audience also is gonna like the people that are gonna be watching this actually gonna have an open mind to things like this, because it's definitely opening my mind. And marriage is a business, right? I never really thought of it like that until I actually thought about it, and you guys gave me some information right now. But also, like, it's just to a woman, marriage is just like your mind. And I don't know, it's kind of like a seal that you just put on top of something, and it just gives me like reassurance. I've never been married, but when I think of marriage, I think of like being able to walk around with my ring in my hand, on my finger, and and he has his. And am I saying this because I want to have that, like, just show and tell kind of thing, or is it because, like, now I'm really thinking, like, I'm like, what does a ring really gonna identify? What is
exactly
it? And
because
but I can't say that I don't want to be married, because I do. I
right.
think like the whole perspective of like a man, because it's so hard to find men that are emotional creatures right now. And when they do come out and be emotional, there's so many women that are talking bad about it. So when a man gets down on his knee and plan a romantic little thing, it means so much to us. That's a moment that you can be vulnerable and no one will judge you, but all the women will then be like, "Oh." But if a man was sitting in front of a camera and tell you how much he loves you and all your friends are around you, they're gonna judge him. You know what I'm
I,
saying? So it's
Right.
kind of like that's the one moment that a man can be at his most emotional state, showing you how much he truly cares about you. And I think that's why I like marriage, and that's why I want marriage so much, is because I love emotional men, and I don't want to emotional men, but like that's the moment of the opportunity for that, if that makes sense.
and that's too is that's where it also becomes too, is because I feel like a lot of women, they want an emotional man but they don't want an emotional man, and people don't want they want them to be like that, but then it's like one half, and then it keeps going kind of back and forth. You see what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like it can be partial of both,
I
and
feel
I
like
mean
they want
that's
an emotional man when it's convenient, and when it's not
correct.
convenient or when it's
Just
less trendy, then they don't want an emotional man. When it's time to
exactly
look tough, they don't want an emotional man.
correct.
I do have to agree with you. I do have to agree with that. Um,
But they
yeah.
also don't want a bipolar man either. But in my opinion, that's like just saying you want a bipolar man. You want him to be, you want to be a man's man and not be emotional and this, that, and the other. But then, oh, we got to know the timing where we can and we can't be emotional. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's
And then, like I said earlier on, when we were talking about, is it okay for a woman to approach a man? I think if we move away the gender and just look at the people as a human, I think everything makes more sense to me. If I
Right.
stop looking at y'all as a male figure and just look at you as a human, it's like, okay, you have emotions, you have a heart, you have a freaking brain, you know, you have
yeah,
everything that I have. The only difference is, obviously you have male parts, I have female parts, but at the end of the day, like, emotions are still the same. Why do we expect for a man to be more masculine, right? Why is that the expectation? Granted, coming from a relationship where I had to be the masculine individual, I definitely want to ensure that the person that I am dating
I hope
is
he ain't
is
watching this.
I do want the
Sorry, bro.
person that I am. I
right.
do I do
I'm
I
sorry if
do want the
just
person.
something you didn't that I don't think you knew about.
As I do want the person that I'm dating to be a little bit more. I want to be in my sophomore era, like Jay was saying, and I think that marriage and all that kind of allows us to just be at peace, especially women that have been through things that I have been through, in the sense of having to be the breadwinner, having to be the masculine individual, unfortunately, to maintain the household, to maintain stability for the kids, for life. You know what I mean? So I think that when you have a woman that's been through things like that, expecting her to be the one to approach a man is going to be a little bit harder. We will do it, but because I mean we've been doing it, right? You know, we ain't scared of nothing. But at the same time, it's kind of like, you know, other than when a woman that's lived in her soft girl era, it feels good to be in your soft girl era, man. For a man to just do everything, makes decisions, but then and the same token is kind of like once you get in that soft girl era, it's like, damn, oh now my man down. Oh shit. Like I gotta man up, you know what I'm saying? Now my man feeling his emotions and I gotta man up. So it's a really weird situation, but I will never change it with the fact I still want it traditional. I want the man to approach me. I want the man to marry me. Um, that's what I feel. So Linda, you got some options.
I was about to say. I guess a
You got some
conclusive statement would
options.
be, in conclusion, because it looks like sounds like about time to wrap up. But in conclusion, I feel like it's only okay from a standpoint of how you feel. Let's just be honest. A lot of the
True.
decisions that get based upon a lot of the decisions that we make, or a lot of our decisions are based upon what we know. People are gonna say. You
Exactly.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
People are gonna. We
Yes.
know. We know that people are gonna say. What's the first thing that a girl knows her friends will say if they find out she approached you? What,
Preach.
you
We care
approached
too
him?
much.
You know what I'm saying? Like you a
Mhm.
pygmy. You approached him. You supposed to be the prize. Then it's like on another
Right.
note, like a dude going to all of his friends. You know what I'm saying? Being
Oh,
like, she
she
proposed to
approached
me.
me,
Like
and he's
like
like,
you know.
they're all like,
Well,
no.
I was about to say, but in 2024, shoot, you might get a mixed reaction because some of us is gonna be like, "Hey, City Boys is up. let's,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like we did it, like as opposed to other dudes who are more traditional that are gonna be like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like that's not, especially if you say she proposed to me, she's doing this, she's doing that. Because we as men, if we start to hear that she's doing too much, we're gonna start to say, okay, you have to be mindful that you relinquish a lot of your power with the more you let her do financially, especially. So, you know what
Hmm.
I'm saying?
We disable you in a sense.
And to look at it like that, as that being the standard, or like how it is almost in itself an entirely another podcast episode.
It really
But
is,
you
yeah.
know what I'm saying? If you're comfortable with that, you know what I'm saying? If you're comfortable with letting her do it, let her do it. You know what I'm saying? If that's what y'all have agreed to, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
All of these things are based upon how it is that you see it, how it is, what your perspective is. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying?
And how the
But
conversation with your significant other falls unfolds together.
you know
Yeah.
what I'm
Right.
saying? I was about to say, based upon, societal norms, based upon what people are going to say, based upon how people are going to react, our families, our friends, things like that. That's what makes, whether or not a woman approaching a man a hard question. You know what I'm saying? So, thank everybody for tuning in. Thank everybody for coming out. We appreciate all of the views, man. Everybody definitely make sure to leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe. Any kind of interaction is appreciated. You know what
Definitely.
I'm saying? This has
Also,
been.
don't forget that down in the comments, go ahead and leave any kind of questions that you would like us to respond to, not just answers, but this is the hard questions. So we want to hear from our viewers that are watching these.
Definitely.
What other kind of topics would you guys like us to come up with and everything like
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, we have an email address that we have also set up, and we're going to take that, and one of us will have it down in the comments, so you guys can go ahead and you can email those to us. Just give us your information, let us know your name, your age, your city and state that you live in. You ain't got to give us your mama's blood type or maiden name or any of that kind of crap. We don't need your credit card information. I mean, unless
I
you just
do. I
go to
need
my email, go ahead and send it. No, just
it.
I'll do that, or you
I
can
need the
have
mama's
Jay
name.
say it for me. You know what I mean? Either way, but go ahead and send that information so that we can be able to go ahead and add it to another one of our podcasts, and we can
Yeah,
include
yeah,
you.
yeah.
And then just to add on to everything that we've said before we close is also our TikTok, our social media platforms are all down here too on our profile. So if you are following any of us, if you like what we're saying and you want to be more close to us and see our content, go ahead and follow that too. You can also message us on there privately. I think all of our messages are open, right, guys? Okay. so that way you can send us a message directly if you want us to say the message. Because sometimes women won't go to men, men won't go to women, vice versa. Yeah, that's another avenue you guys can go to send us questions.
This has been Ed. This has been Irene, a host with the most. Thank y'all for watching the Hard Questions podcast. We be out.
Until next time. Okay, let me